Welcome to the St. Charles County Correspondent. We're back. It's another beautiful day in May. I'm joined with Noah Brandt in the booth. And Noah, we've got a lot to talk about today. What's going on?
Yeah, that's right, Sam. Listen, happy May, my friend. April showers bring May flowers. I'm pumped for these flowers.
I've seen several tulips already. We had a beautiful Easter. That's sort of what
Wow.
reminds me of, spring. And I think the flowers are on the way.
Sam, kick us off with our first story today.
No, we've got an interesting story. I think all our stories are interesting, but this is a story I had to read two
Amen.
or three times. Here's the headline: St. Charles County is adding new traffic signal systems for emergency vehicles. What is this? We're spending $800,000 to control intersection lights to make travel faster and safer for emergency vehicles. They'll be using some federal funds, also a special transportation tax approved by you and me, the taxpayer. No, we talked about that on our show recently. Here's what Steve Ellman had to say. He said this is basically going to connect all the traffic signals in St. Charles County, which is amazing in my mind. And it's a countywide project. And he says this is the first time in Missouri that this has been done on a county-wide basis. Right now, 195 traffic signals have been linked. There's a total of 351 that will be linked when the story is finished and when the project's finished. And I think what this is going to do is it will turn lights green for oncoming traffic for emergency vehicles, and the cross traffic will turn red. So, look,
That is pretty impressive. They're just going to be able to centrally control that.
It must have something to do with the dispatcher. When they plan out the route, I suppose, and then those lights just turn green for them, which it's sort of like a superhero type of thing,
Yeah, no, I mean, that honestly is pretty amazing. That's not what I thought the story was before I read it, before you explained it. I thought it might have been something that wouldn't be so directly seen by normal people, but it's literally just controlling when the light's green or red. But that makes a big deal because that is one of the scariest things in traffic is when you see a ambulance or a fire truck or even a police car barreling down fast, just going to run that red no matter what, which they have the right to do. But it's like, you better hope everyone's paying close attention so you don't have a bad accident.
Well, it's no joke because one of the things that we talk it's funny, we talked about it last week on the show that I didn't know it was a law that you have to merge if you can when you see a cop pulled over on the side of the road. For me, who spends a lot of time on our side streets, and not necessarily the highway but our side streets, this is something that you've got to really be in tune when you're driving. And it seems like to me that it's like a miracle that this even works. Like, you would think in 2022,
Yeah, it's a good point.
something like this could happen. You feel like Elon Musk could do something like this, but they're putting it in St. Charles County here, and it'll be done by the end of the year.
Wow. Well, that is a good story, and I hope that happens quickly and that it saves a lot of lives. Sam, a somewhat sad story, and we're going to share a little piece of community news, but it's heartwarming in a way. Is from this is Michelle, right? Michele.
Yeah, Michelle and O'Fallon.
Is Miche? Okay, because Taylor's middle name is Michelle. It's ELLE, but you think that's Michelle? That's not Michael, is it?
No, you could say. Well, actually, he says my wife and I. You could say it comes from the Gamache.
Is it a man?
Gamache.
Gamache. All right, that's what I'm going to say because I think it's a man, but it's a weird way to spell Michael. All right, this is going to be a fun episode to edit. Sam, we have a story from the what's going on in O'Fallon Facebook page, a vibrant place from the Gamache family. It's sad, but it's heartwarming. I'm just going to read part of it. He says, "My wife and I had to make the It is a man, right? I don't
Yeah, it
is it a man?
He says my wife.
Okay, I just want to make sure that's not a very manly looking woman when I say he. Sam, we have a heartwarming story, sad, but, a nice message from the O'Fallon, what's going on in O'Fallon Facebook page from the Gamache family. I'm just going to read what it has to say. He says, "My wife and I had to make the difficult decision to help our dog, Sappho, cross the Rainbow Bridge. Prior to the vet coming over to our home, we were all in the car together. As we stopped at an intersection, a bus full of elementary school kids pulled up next to us. They saw Sappho, that's the dog, and started waving and making hearts with their hands. Those kids had no idea what we were going to go through, but it was perfectly poetic end to our beautiful pup's life. Thank you, kids. That meant more than you will ever know. Over 1,000 likes, a lot of engagement on that, because that is a sweet story. I think it's a good message that you never know what your sort of little good deeds that you barely realize you're doing, how they affect people, you know?
Yeah, no, and one of the reasons we wanted to flag this for folks, not only is it a tremendous story, but correct me if you've seen something different, no, but this is the highest liked Facebook story that I've seen in my circles. Obviously, there's lots of Facebook likes, in public pages, but for this specific group, 1,000 Facebook likes is a lot outside of, say, a viral post. So we wanted to flag that for us. It's really heartwarming.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. Where our thoughts and prayers are with the Gamache family, and it's definitely tough to lose an animal. But it sounds like Sappho lived a great life. Sam, we have sort of some personal reporting to do, right? Someone from the St. Charles County Correspondent was actively on the scene of an interesting story. Tell us about that. Not a tornado this time. I know people are always looking forward to more Sam at a tornado.
Not a tornado. We want to avoid those. But yeah, this week. This is Thursday. So, yesterday on Wednesday, I had a chance to attend the St. Charles County Police Officers Memorial. It's hosted by Bowie Funeral Homes every year. This was the 30th year that they held this memorial, and it's done to remember and honor and reflect on the sacrifices made by our men and women in blue who've given the ultimate sacrifice. This was a candlelight
So
service
important.
where folks lit candles in memory of the fallen. And I think this is something it's put on by Bowie, and I think they came up with the idea to do it. And it's really heartwarming to see the community come together year over year to simply remember. Thank heavens there hasn't been a St. Charles County officer or anyone in St. Charles County that has been shot and killed in a very long time, years and years. Sadly, we have lost officers in St. Louis County and City recently.
That's right.
But thank heavens that nobody has died recently in St. Charles. But still, we come together to remember. And
what was this event like, Sam? What was it like? So there's some candle lighting. There's some honoring. What was the general demeanor and vibe of the evening? What was the vibe check?
well, it was solemn. This is a celebration of life, I suppose, but it was mostly a tribute. That's sort of the posture of the ceremony. Every police department in the county was represented that I could see. Officers there were in full uniform, uh, polished. Even the buttons on the
Yeah,
uniform were
good.
polished. So it was a County Executive Elman was there. I believe Prosecuting Attorney Lomar was there. And so a lot of folks came together, and you can see it. It's on. It was live streamed on the St. Charles County Police page. We'll link to it in our newsletter. But if you haven't had a chance
Yeah,
to
we'll
check
share
that
that.
out, yeah, definitely do it, because it's always good to remember, especially people like you and me, Noah, who don't put our lives on the line. We just take these things for granted, that I can drive and be safe. But these folks.
Yeah, Sam, that's a great point. I'm glad you went to that. I'm glad you're able to report on that. Sam, before we start wrapping up, there's one more story that I wanted to talk about. That's something that has been being talked about on my neighborhood Facebook page, and even just face to face with neighbors. Right, my couple hundred people live in my neighborhood. We are having, and I've only lived in my house for about 3 years, so I can't comment past that. But we are having by far the worst dandelion epidemic in my neighborhood we've ever had in any spring, close to what I would call like a dandelion apocalypse. Like it is intense. There are like some yards, potentially mine included, are about 95% dandelion right now. And we're trying to get to the bottom of it. We're trying to figure it out. I'm having a weed person come out at the end of this week to do some intense herbicidal spraying. But Sam, has that problem extended up to Wentzville, to your nice new development? You have any
No,
data
we're
line
in a new
issues?
build over here, Noah. They laid sod just last year, so we still have pure, like, whatever, Tennessee
Mm.
bluegrass, Kentucky bluegrass, or whatever.
Dandelions are the worst. They grow so fast. I mean, you can chop down a dandelion in the next 6 hours from then, it'll be 3 feet tall. It's like that. That's how fast they grow.
I don't doubt you. Are you able to put a picture of your yard in the newsletter?
I'll put the picture of a yard, of a dandelion filled yard, and we could see. Maybe it's mine, maybe it's someone else's, but not soon. There'll be an after picture, Sam, of just a beautiful, lush green yard. My wife always says that she wants a yard that looks like you just want to like comb a hairbrush through it. That it looks so pretty, you just want to brush its hair, and that's the goal. And you have a lot more yard experience than me, so after we get this herbicide after we sort of just like napalm my yard with herbicide, maybe I'll talk to you about ways to make the grass grow better. But if you're having any dandelion issues, or maybe listeners, maybe you have a green thumb like Sam and you just have a gorgeous yard, send us a picture. We'd love to feature some beautiful yards as we do spring and summer. But Sam, at the end of every show, we do what is arguably your favorite part of the show, and it's called the Weekly Smile. And I think I know what your weekly smile needs to be because you have such a nice bronzed look. But Sam, what is your weekly smile?
Well, Noah's alluding to a vacation that I recently took to the United States' Gulf Coast. But the one thing that I want to highlight is the St. Joachim and Ann
Like how vague that was.
the St. Joachim and Ann Care Service Food Pantry. It's of course based in St. Charles, and they have a food pantry. And the thing that they're doing that's making me smile this week, they were featured in the Mid Rivers News magazine last week, where they're taking their food pantry on the road and heading to some food deserts. A food desert is an area that doesn't have grocery stores. A significant portion of the population live in poverty. I'm reading this here, the definition in the newsletter, where people may not have access to transportation, large grocery stores with affordable, nutritious foods. That's the definition that they provided. And so they have taken their food pantry up to Lincoln and Warren County, just north and west of us here. And there's been a nice reception for them. And so I love to see our neighbors getting out into the community, not just St. Charles County, but also transferring some of that service mentality to Lincoln and Warren. It's a great story. We'll link to it. Take a look. And if you have a chance, support a good nonprofit organization. St. Joachim and Ann in St. Charles really made me smile this week. Noah, how about you?
Yeah, well, that's a great thing to be smiling about, Sam. I remember. I think maybe around Christmas we talked about this, or maybe it was even more recently with talking about Easter baskets. But I just want to give a shout out to I'm here in O'Fallon, but just all of the ladies and gentlemen who do our trash and recycling pickup. They are just such pros. They go so quickly. It amazes me what they do, but they're always willing to stop and say hi and have a little conversation. And as someone we've talked before about who works from home, it brightens my day to see these great collectors doing a professional service and keeping the community clean. So I appreciate all of the collectors doing the trash and recycling all over the county.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I don't work from home, and so I sort of miss out on some of that. Although our trash guy comes very early in the morning, like before I leave for work. So
Wow, really? Yeah, that's always interesting to me too. I know they're working all day; it just depends on the route. Our trash is usually, I'd say, about maybe 3 p.m. on the day it's going to be picked up.
interesting. Well, maybe we can do a St. Charles County ride along, and we'll send you Noah to do some reporting and check out on dandelion infestations in other neighborhoods. But folks,
That's
this
right.
has
That's
been the
right.
St. Charles County correspondent. I'm Sam. This is Noah. And if you liked our show, give us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, wherever you listen. You can also sign up for our free once a week newsletter. We sort of round up all the news for you and put it in one place. That's at sccc.substack.com. And you can drop us a note if you'd like to say hello, or if you have a tip for us, that's scccorrespondent@gmail.com. Until next time, this has been Sam Safa and Noah Brandt. We will see you next week, everybody.